it's unfortunate when we put these rules on, when we need, like you said, like when we need to do things, when just showing up and doing it will pave the path to, what comes next, whether it's, perfecting handstands or realizing handstanding is actually not what defines you as a teacher. Something else does.
Welcome to Radically Loved Radio. I am your host, Rosie Acosta, yoga teacher and teacher trainer, mindfulness coach, speaker, and creative writer. I am also the founder of radicallylove.com, a website where you can go for more information about yoga, mindfulness, meditation, and lifestyle advice. On this podcast, we talk to people within our health and wellness community that are creating content through the ritualistic practice of yoga, meditation, or overall mindful living. We hope to create value in your life so that you can achieve your highest potential and live a radically loved life. To stay in touch with us, just follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Rosie Acosta and on Facebook at Radically Loved Rosie. You can sign up for our newsletter on radicallylove.com to stay up to date on future workshops, retreats, and latest podcasts. This podcast is brought to you by Four Sigmatic. I have been waiting for months for this product to come out, and it's finally here, the Four Sigmatic Mushroom Focus Shot. Four Sigmatic has always believed in seeking energy through nutrient-dense foods, sleep hygiene, movement, and hydration. So when they came up with this product as an alternative to all those gnarly energy drinks that are out there, I was so excited. This is the first ready-to-drink product that promotes focus and energy without all the gnarly ingredients. You can sip half of the bottle of lion's mane and guayusa with a powerful pineapple taste from only real ingredients. No artificial sweeteners or flavors are allowed. I can drink half of the bottle in the morning and then half in the afternoon, and it doesn't make me feel weird and jittery in the afternoon. Go to foursigmatic.com and use the promo code RadicallyLoved, that's RADICALLYLOVED, to get a special discount on all the Four Sigmatic products. Back to our show. Hey listeners, we need your support. Help us by subscribing and rating to this podcast. Send us a snapshot of your review or comment, and we will send you a very special Radically Loved gift. Send your comment to info@radicallyloved.com. You can also click on the show notes here on this podcast for more information. If you want to be part of our community, please click the link to our private Facebook group on the show notes of this particular podcast so you can be the first to hear of upcoming trainings, retreats, and special Radically Loved events. Thanks so much for listening. Sara Clark is known for her compassionate and creative teaching style. She is a certified vinyasa and mindfulness teacher who resides in New York City. She is on the teaching staff at Kripalu, the Center of Yoga and Health, and leads workshops and retreats internationally. She's also a featured teacher on Yoga Glow, which I frequent quite often just to practice with her. We chatted about how we love to bring yoga and its philosophy to our students and how we use it as a way to connect. I'm so excited to share this conversation with all of you. Here's Sara Clark. I'm so excited. Really, and so excited to finally have an opportunity to have you on the show. I've been following you for a little while now, and I've been practicing with you on Yoga Glow. And not only do you have the most amazing voice, and I just like to listen to it. Truth be told, I was trying to do one of your meditations one time, and something happened where I can't remember what the name of the particular meditation you were doing, but it was a visualization. And then I got a really great idea. And then I got on my computer. I know this is like the worst, right? Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. And then I went on my computer and I was like, oh, I got to write this down, because I get my creative thoughts in the morning. And then you just kept playing. It was maybe like on your page of stuff.
Mm.
So then I just get, you just were talking in the background while I was working, and it was awesome.
Wow, that's amazing. And I've never heard this before, and I love it. And I hope other people are doing it as well.
I'm like, talk about, I'm just like outing myself to all of my people. I'm like, hey, this is what happens when I meditate. I get in my
Right.
computer.
But I mean, it was like a stream of consciousness,
It
and you
was a
were
stream
able to
of
write it
consciousness.
down.
That's right.
And like, can we like applaud the fact that you're sitting and you're meditating and like you're going with what the meditation looks like for you? So how about
Thank
that?
you. Thank
In
you.
the digital age, right?
Yes. Oh my God. So much that I want to talk to you about. So welcome to Radically Loved Radio.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Yay.
Yay.
And I'm so, I've got a lot of questions to ask you pertaining to a lot of different topics. So hopefully we don't get too, too off the rails here. I'm
Right.
trying to restructure it. So for the listeners at this point, they've noticed that there's been a little bit of a shift in the template of how we have the show. And so it's becoming more topic based. And there's a couple of topics that I want to talk to you about pertaining to just our yoga community. And obviously you're a yoga and meditation teacher. And this is something that you've been doing. And I feel that you've really allowed for people to have a wider perspective and range as far as being more open. And you've been very vocal about diversity and body love and being able to, utilize these different yogic modalities in a way to just create more unity and to create a better cohesiveness within just our society. So thank you for that.
Wow.
Number one.
Thank you. I mean, can you write that as my bio? Because I need my bio rewritten. That was amazing. Thank you.
So currently, where are you? Where are you based out of?
So I have been based out of New York City for the past 12 years, which I can't believe is a thing. And yeah, my home is in Brooklyn. I've been in Brooklyn 11 out of those 10 years. Before that, it was briefly Harlem. But yeah, Brooklyn's my home base, which I love. And it's also very loud and busy. So yeah.
So, and as far as you cultivating a practice that is sustainable for you living in a big city, like what does that look like for you? How are you able to be such a sweet and loving and effective yogi in the world living in one of the busiest cities in the world?
Right. For me, it is the busiest city in the world. That's what it feels like, And well, yes. So I know I'm so giggly as well. I just want to laugh with you. All right, let me focus. So, yeah, I think New York City is my biggest teacher. Like it really is, because you're crammed, like really sometimes like butt to butt with someone on the train, rush hour, everyone's standing and grumpy and tired. And, we're also in these like apartments just stacked one on top of the other. There's always noise. Thank goodness I live in a pre-war building, so the walls are thick. So that's helpful. But, right outside my window, there's busy streets, there's car honking, alarm systems going off sometimes because it's New York. So for me, it's a constant practice of how can I show up mindfully moment by moment. And also sometimes giving myself permission to like just be human and just as annoyed as other people are when the train is, 20 minutes late or something like that. Yes. But, it's me constantly being in the present moment. I have to be, or else I will lose my mind here because it's so busy and so loud. And, how dare you standing on an escalator up? You should be walking. It's like, it's that vibe, So it's tough. It's tough. And it's like, but this is what I've chosen. So how can I be with it? And the quote, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a great battle. Like that is something I have to remind myself of when, people are seemingly rude and inconsiderate. I really don't know what they're going through. So yeah, New York is my teacher for sure.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that you can really utilize to have it be a metaphor for life in general.
Oh my
Right?
gosh.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
what a better practice to have. One of the things that I really loved about you, obviously, I'm obsessed with you. Hi, can we get a little clap track here? To I love that you have this note on your website, and it's a letter to your students. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just read a little bit of
Oh,
it.
yeah, yeah.
It was so profound. And it says,
Mm.
to my students, you do not have to be skinny. You do not have to be flexible. You do not have to wear the latest athletic gear nor have any prior experience. What you do need to have is courage. Courage to trust, courage to breathe, courage to believe that you are capable of moving your body in ways never before imagined. Namaste, Sara Clark.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, because I think that what a beautiful and open invitation for all people of all sizes and backgrounds. So can you speak to what place were you in to be able to get to a place where you knew that this is what you wanted to bring to the world?
Mm. Well, I really think that little letter is for myself. I
Mm,
think everything I share is for myself first, and then I have the best job, and we have the best jobs in the world where we can
yeah.
share, what is moving us with others. So, I talk about this in my yoga journal cover, which I share with you as well. Well, not share, but like you are on the cover of Yoga Journal this month,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Yoga
so
Journal
my
twins. Yoga
yeah,
Journal
Yoga
twins.
Journal twins,
Yeah.
exactly. So, my cover article was all about my journey with negative body image, or just low self-esteem and eating disorder, addicted to the gym,
Mm,
uh, you know sexual trauma from college. So all of this is a culmination of myself wanting to feel comfortable and safe and accepted in a yoga space. And I
mm,
also grew up in a very basically I was like the only brown child, in school. And that was a shock to the system as well. I was homeschooled until I was 9. And then we moved to Maryland from Syracuse, New York. And I was in public school, and it was a shock to the system when, I began to realize how mean children were, and teachers and adults. So it's my pain manifested into, please come as you are. You will be loved, you will be cared for, and you will be moved, and you're going to be surprised at what your body can do.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that you, as I said, do an incredible job at being that person, being that light. So
Mm.
thank you for that.
It's an
Um,
honor.
one of the things that I would love to talk to you about is this idea of being able to cultivate a better sense of empowerment just within ourselves as women, especially when we have such a external pull of I'm doing air quotes, what we're
Mhm.
supposed to look like or what we're
Mm.
supposed to be like, especially as yogis. Because we see the ads, we see the Instagram posts, we see the things that are celebrated.
Mhm.
And so how do you how do you teach that, and how do you learn from that for yourself? Like, what can we do just as women to feel more empowered and feel less um, distracted by all the external things that can sometimes make us feel inadequate?
Wow. Well, that's so beautiful and layered, and like just a hot topic. I think first and foremost, acknowledging that what you see as you scroll, or even look at an ad in the store you're shopping in, is not the reality of the general population of yoga bodies in the yoga studio. So just like reminding yourself of that, and that what you're seeing is not how you're supposed to look. It's like this construct that really just needs to be, burned to the ground. Yeah. And then it's like, for me, sometimes like I want to wear, like, I would love to wear all white leggings, but I just do not have the confidence. Me and my dimples, like, just don't have the confidence to do that yet, So I think also it's like, can we like be like, you know what? Screw it. I want to wear an all white outfit. It's awesome. It's great. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's just all of the things. And who cares what people think of me when I'm in my up dog and like, everything's exposed or whatever.
Right.
So I think also it's like, can we begin to step out of what my body is supposed to wear in these spaces? What else? I mean, it's, oh gosh, it's, it's also like this practice of focusing on what your body can do versus what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a turning point for me on my mat, was being amazed and in awe of what my body did for me. So it got me out of what I should look like on my mat, and it got me into my body where I could finally begin to celebrate it. And with that, I went through like a decade of just primarily asana, and that's what fueled me, of just really getting into my body and seeing what we could do together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's okay too, I feel like maybe I'm not sticking on the main topic, but
it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, yeah, just like celebrating how your body moves while knowing that you don't have to be a size 0 to be welcome into the world of yoga.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's this sort of blockage that happens, I think, for us because we feel like we need to be or look a certain way before we do something, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Or I mean, even like, well, I can't touch my toes. I know this is a thing that, happens a lot. So, I can't touch my toes, so I can't do yoga. It's the same thing as like, I've got a belly, or I've got this, or I've got that. I can't do yoga. And I hope as teachers, the front row is no longer the place where all the quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes now as well, the advanced yogis are, doing their fancy tricks, but it's like, it doesn't matter what row you're in a yoga class, like, come as you are and feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I think that part of what I find fascinating still is this idea that again, we kind of we stop ourselves from doing the things that make us feel good because we have this idealized version in our mind of what it's supposed to look like, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I remember when I first started teaching, I couldn't do a handstand in the middle of the room. Like, and so for me, I'm like, I can't call myself a yoga teacher. Like, I can't call myself a yoga teacher until I could do a hand. This was years ago, right?
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that was a real belief. I felt completely inadequate because my physical body wasn't able to do some of these really complex postures, and it took years for me to finally get to a point of actually practicing and studying deeper into yoga in yoga philosophy to realize, and just my own self-work, right? Like, oh, this doesn't matter. I can still teach people yoga and not have to, my body doesn't need to do all of those things. Like, that doesn't make me any less of a yogi than the person that does.
Yep.
So did you ever have a similar situation or anything that you felt when you first started teaching?
Well, I just want to agree with you first and foremost. I hear that a lot from, students and practitioners who want to take their practice to the next level and do a teacher training.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. It's like, well, I need to practice more. I need to get to a certain level before, I can teach, just like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I mean, I had a strong practice, but for whatever the word advanced means, I didn't have an advanced practice when I did my YTT. And the beauty is, your practice evolves with time. And even within the YTT, you're going to better understand how your body should safely show up in each asana. So, it's unfortunate when we put these rules on, when we need, like you said, like when we need to do things, when just showing up and doing it will pave the path to, what comes next, whether it's, perfecting handstands or realizing handstanding is actually not what defines you as a teacher, something else does. So just saying yes to the desire to move forward in your yoga, on your yoga journey is everything, and the rest follows always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite topic with regard to yoga philosophy? Maybe it's something that you use in your daily practice, or maybe one of the most poignant lessons that you learned during your teacher training or that you like to teach.
Mm. The notion of beginning again. Like every breath is an opportunity to begin again. And sometimes we don't show up the way we want to. Sometimes we don't say the things that we want to, or maybe they didn't come out as kindly or as mindfully as they should have. Maybe we're just having like not the best day. So giving yourself permission to begin again is something that I find resonates with me and also those who come to my class. So it's like every breath, every asana, like how do you want to show up? Like breath by breath, you have an opportunity to begin again. So that's really my motto. And going back to just living in New York City, just beginning again, even like if the train is delayed, and that might affect my the next thing I have to do, which luckily doesn't happen that much, but sometimes it does, and it's like the most nerve-wracking thing, and you're beating yourself up and the inner critic.
Yeah.
You should have left 2 hours earlier. Yeah. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have taken that last sip of water. You should have just I think I saw like a quote about that. Like if only I had not taken that last sip of water, I would have been on time. Something, it was hilarious. So anyway, it's a thing. So it's like, okay. And like, how can I still surrender into this moment, trust the process, and begin again with thoughts that serve me, and instead of creating more anxiety and suffering, because like there's suffering, unfortunately, is a human condition. So
Yeah.
what lights me up is finding ways to lessen my suffering while in this realm on this earth, and then sharing it.
I'm like, my mouth is just like, so true. Like, yes, yes. What
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what is your favorite thing to dive into with regard to just your life? Like, is there anything that you like to really dive into, be it creativity, your practice, teaching, relationships? Like, what is it in your life that you really like to dive into?
Well, all of the above, if that was an answer. But because I probably should choose like one specific thing, right now, manifestation, and not even right now, like manifestation has been a thing. Like I taught a retreat about manifestation. I love it. It blows my mind. It's almost like we have this magic wand that we're not aware of.
Yes.
Occasionally, and we're actually creating, whether we realize it or not. All of our thoughts are creating our reality. So it's like, what do you want to think so you can create what you actually want? And so, yeah, so it's like we've got this magic wand. It gives us the capacity to create really whatever we want. But most of the time we get in our own way, and it slows down the manifestation process.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to dive into that because
Okay.
I am such a big fan of manifestation. I mean, I feel like the only reason why I made it out of East Los Angeles like was
Mm.
because of manifestation, and I really wholeheartedly believe that when you do all of the things that you have to do in order to create that frequency in your life, that you can bring all of those things in, as opposed to you going and reaching and trying to grasp. So can you
Mhm.
share a couple of things that you do in your own practice to manifest things, or maybe some of the things that you've found to be really effective?
Yeah. Well, there's so many. First and foremost, your thoughts. Become more curious as to the mind chatter and what is flowing through you, and if it's serving you, if it's not. If there's a lot of doubt, I like to reword it, and almost like you're creating a lullaby for yourself. Like, what would you love to hear that helps to take, break that record that's broken, that keeps replaying and blocking you from stepping more into your power. So rewriting that broken record, saying it to yourself constantly, especially when you hear the broken record somehow being taped back together and put back on that player, like, how did that happen again?
I'm like, what are you talking about? That never happened.
That doesn't happen. Right. Cause it's going to creep in. And as they say, our issues are in our tissues, and it takes a lot of time and rewiring of the brain to rewrite how our neurons are firing. So, being up on it, like being disciplined to recognize the chatter, rewrite it, and almost imagine it as if it were already happening, or if it was already true, or if it was already yours. So feeling it as if it's yours, I think, is also profound. So envisioning is huge. Like, you are sitting down with Oprah having tea, what would that look like? What would that feel like? What are the colors like? What's the conversation and the vibe like? So, and I practice that even on more of a micro level when I'm about to teach for a large group or something like that. So I sit and I meditate on how I want to show up in that environment before it happens, so that when I get there, I can step into that frequency when the nervousness comes in. Like, okay, I acknowledge the nervousness, but I'm going to choose that vibe that I created while I sat, prior to my work.
Yeah.
Vision boarding, I love. Yeah, just being able to allow words and pictures to pop out at you, and that excite you, that make your mind light up, and then actually choosing to cut that out and putting it down on paper, for me, is a reminder that yes, I'm worth it, and the possibilities are limitless. So I think those things are my go-tos, and of course there's more, but it starts with my thoughts. Because my thoughts will tell me I won't be able to sit down with Oprah. That's crazy, but if I fine tune things, it's like, no, you can. And how do you want it to go?
Yeah. Like, what are you going to wear?
What are you going to wear? Yeah.
Are you going to be at her place in Maui or in California? Like, where are you going to be?
Right. Are you going to be like sitting down petting her dogs, or like outside in her garden? Yeah.
Is she going to be feeding you from the organic garden? Is she going to, do a little sampler of vegetables for you?
Exactly. Is Gail going to be there? Like,
is Gail going to be there? And here's a side note, I think find people in your circle that can help you manifest, right? Like that's another great thing, just to add to that, because I think everything that you said is perfect. And I totally 100% agree. So aside from having tea with Oprah, what are you currently manifesting in your life right now?
Having tea with Oprah. Oh my gosh. And besides that, no big deal. Besides that, what am I manifesting? I'm manifesting, eventually moving out of New York, because it's a lot, it's like, yeah, I don't know when, I don't know how, like, my partner, Alex, and I, we've got to figure that out, because, he's got his thing here. I've got my thing here, but anytime we leave New York, we're like, oh my gosh, it's so quiet. Oh my gosh. So to gift that to ourselves as a norm would be terrifying and amazing all at the same time. And then just spreading my wings wider in terms of engagement and, building my own brand is something that I'm manifesting, and like what that looks like, because I was just talking to someone else, like, I'm in a lot of communities, but I really want to focus on creating my own community right now. So the engagement is so beautiful. I've got these amazing beings following me and creating conversations with me. So how do I make them feel even more special and seen, so that when I'm in other communities, I'm representing them as well, even more.
Yeah.
So creating events for women of color is a really big thing that I want to do more, The list is long. Touring more, Europe is on the list. So, like sprinkling a little bit of magic everywhere. For me, it's a reminder that I'm worth it and that people will show up. Because often, like my 13-year-old me will come in and be like, no one's going to show up to your party. No one, and that's never true. People always show up. So I'm stepping more into like, yes, here I am and I have a lot to give and share.
Yeah. And people will show up to that.
Yes. And they always have. So I have to keep going. Because again, that broken record will be like, nope, stop here.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the biggest issue that I think all just people in general, men and women, struggle with, that inner dialogue, that constant, spin where it's like you said, the track starts and it's all the reasons why you shouldn't or can't or why it's not going to happen. And that's the part of the mind that has to, take a little bit of a break on her lounger chair and just, allow for the wonderment of life to take root and to, take you on a ride as opposed to being taken by a ride by the mind.
Exactly. Right? And I love that. Yeah. I always say when you say yes to life, life will say yes to you. And it's exactly that. Like when you say yes, you will be taken on the most beautiful journey.
I'm like, I want to come with you. Okay.
Yes, let's go.
Is there in your entire career or even life, has there been an undertone of unknowingness, or are there some words of wisdom that you've always known to be true that have resonated and have created essentially the foundation of where you are? Or is your path been a gradual evolution to create the Sara Clark we know and love today?
Oh man, I think both. Again, like it's like all of the above. And I think the constant that has always been there is listening to my intuition. It's a soft voice that is so soft and so kind. It's almost, it's not almost, it is easy to not listen to it. But with that soft voice often gets louder and louder and louder and makes things more and more uncomfortable until you actually say, okay, I'm going to listen to you now. So for me, it's getting better at not waiting until the voice is louder and making things uncomfortable, but really listening to her because she's so quiet and gentle. So I'm right now just letting that voice, like, I'm like, hey voice, can you be a little more loud for me? Because I really want to pay more attention to you. You've always been there. You have been guiding me. You're leading me on this crazy epic journey. I want to listen to you more. You're never wrong. And I've never fallen from listening to that gut instinct, even though some things are crazy, like quitting your corporate job and becoming a yoga teacher, like what? No health insurance? How am I going to do this? Or just all of that, and, but I'm here, and I'm on covers of magazines and connecting with amazing people all over the world because I said yes to my inner voice.
Yeah.
And it's in all of us. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that just to add to that, I think it's important to note your dedication and your commitment to that potential. And that's something that I talk about all the time because I find it with most of the people that I am inspired by or look up to is this consistent storyline of really committing to their potential in a way that it didn't matter that it was the unpopular decision or it was an unpopular route. They committed and it led them to be in a place where they felt more fulfilled and more sustainable joy, right?
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy and, you're just skipping down the yellow brick road. It's going to be hard and it's going to be scary. And, and with that, you look at, let's say, Instagram and the people that you look up to, or just some of the influencers, I'm putting that in air quotes as well, it just looks like everything comes so easy to them, and they just blink and it's there. And that's not the case. No one really shows you the behind the scenes of, me like teaching 17 classes around the city, from Upper East Side to way downtown, and commuting back home at 10 p.m. and just all the things that you do, teaching for free here and there, babysitting, nannying, like all the things you got to do as you allow this dream to manifest, and knowing that it's normal and it's okay, and it's part of the journey. Whatever your hustle looks like, it's part of the journey. Trust the process.
I'm like, maybe you need to do a podcast. Let's add that to your list.
You know what?
Investing. Just saying.
No, Rosie, it's a thing. It's a thing that's on my list, and this right now is reminding me that it's possible. I want to do it, and again, that broken record's like, it's going to be too hard. It's going to be la 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 la. But like, how beautiful is this right now, this connection and us exchanging in this way?
Oh, it's amazing.
Thank you for being here and doing it and reminding me.
Are you kidding?
I can do it too.
You should, and everybody that's listening to this will tune in, because this is part of, us being able to create and cultivate communities to uplift each other and to support each other. Like, I've always been a proponent of, I want to help as many people as I can, uplift them, hold them up, because the more that I do that for them, they're doing the same for me. I didn't come from the lack mentality when it came to success. It's like, you help your people because that's just part of your duty. It wasn't until I worked in the entertainment industry where I realized, I'm like, oh, not everybody does this.
Right.
People are cutthroat,
Yeah.
and I've seen it even in the world of yoga too. I'm not trying to front. Like, this is the reality, you guys. This happens in every industry, right?
The egos are everywhere, unfortunately.
For sure.
Yeah. Yep.
And I've seen some of the most spiritual, air quotes, some of the most spiritual people have like big time egos where I'm like, wow, this is so against what you're allegedly preaching to everyone. And so anyone that knows me and people in my circle, my students and the people I work with, I am the biggest proponent to doing everything and anything in my power to make sure that if people want my help to succeed, they're going to have the support 100%, because
I love that.
I feel like I've been fortunate enough in my life to have that. I was lucky, and I had really great people in my circle that really helped, at least encouraged me to believe in myself, that kind of helped me say, maybe they couldn't help me, but their reservations or their negative talk didn't come out of their mouths. And to me, I'm like, that's support, right? Because you might not have the support in the way of like, oh, Sarah, I'm going to support everything you're doing. Sometimes there's certain people where them not saying anything is the support that you need, because it's these people that sometimes that may say no or don't, that will totally take you off, Does that make sense?
No, it does. Like, if my parents had said, you're crazy, 11, 12 years ago, when I said I wanted to pursue my teacher training, like I might not have done it.
Yeah.
So them not really saying anything, but like, okay, I think, is that what you mean? Like for me, that was everything.
Yeah. Because it's part of what we need, I think, just as a society and as like a tribal society, that we need to have the support of our people to help lift us up,
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is the profound part about social media. Like, there's pros and cons to it for sure. But
what are the pros and cons? I caught you right there.
I know, right? Well, pros. You're being uplifted. You're getting reinforcement. As humans, we need approval. You're getting approval. You're being able to see like what people are resonating with. For me, it's a practice of being seen and sharing things regardless of what people are going to say, and then when I say what I want to say and it's from the heart, people are actually like, oh my gosh, I love this. Me too. You're not alone. So it builds community. So for me, that's a pro. And also visibility, connecting with people and brands and more amazing people that I would never get to. Seeing other people of color practicing yoga, which I didn't think was a thing until Instagram. So that for me is like a pro. I thought I was like one of the only ones, and it's so not true at all. And then also like the cons are like comparing yourself, feeling like you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, you don't have as many followers, which means you're not important. That ranking that can occur just from these numbers. Just all of that, the addiction to it that can slow you down from actually being productive. The addiction I see from children, not to knock parents at all, but I remember the days of coloring when we went out to eat,
Yeah.
or being able to behave. I put that in air quotes, but being able to behave at the dinner table when we have guests and be able to converse at a young age with adults. And I feel like there's a lack right now. That's like, let's give them the tablet. They're going to behave. That's a new way to get kids to behave sometimes. So I think that's the con, like the addiction to that. And oh my gosh, I could not imagine being a teenager right now on Instagram and Facebook,
goodness, right?
On all levels, Yeah. So, and again, not knocking the tablet. It can come in handy when a kid just needs like something else to do, but it can be like the pacifier these days, instead of, coloring.
Doing so. What's funny is that, when I grew up, we did a lot of things that were like, tangible, like that I could tactile, right? So it's like I was able to touch and colors and do and create, do paper mache, or like create little figurines with paper, do things that actually required you to do things with your hands as opposed to just watch a screen.
Yes.
What do you think that's doing just to our learning? I'm just curious. This is kind of, I said I don't want to go off topic, but I'm just like, I'm curious.
Oh gosh. Well, I think it's, okay. So I don't have like any backing to like predict what's really going on, but just from like what I feel like.
Nice disclaimer. I like that.
Yeah. But I have heard that it's, I don't know how to, it's creating like less talking amongst children. Like children don't know how to interact as much anymore because they're on tablets, and like that's their way of expressing themselves and communicating. So I think there's a disconnect. Obesity is a thing because kids aren't going outside and playing anymore, which breaks my heart. So, things like that, I don't want to really speak on autism because it's such a sensitive topic. I did read an article that, being on tablets could be affecting that. But again, like I am not an expert, and, I have loved ones who are autistic, so I have no right to talk really about that. But with that, like technology could be affecting how we do interact as humans. And so that's scary to me. And at the same time, I think that change is constant, and can we surrender into this shift and just see what happens? Like maybe we're just going to be like these genius beings now that like we, 2-year-olds, no, actually it was a 5-year-old who was in a special school where like they logged on every day to like this special computer and so it's like this training. I mean, maybe there's going to be more masterminds because of technology and how it can support the evolution of our society. It's tricky, and I feel like I'm rambling. So
no. I think you're being extremely diplomatic about it, and I appreciate that. And look, this is, as I said before when we were in the green room.
Yes.
I don't know. This is what we're going to talk about, and if we go off topic, whatever.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, I see children having like severe meltdowns when the tablet is taken away. Severe. And that to me is really scary because it starts addiction early.
Yeah.
And I think it could shift development. But again, I don't even have kids, so I don't know. It's tricky. And sometimes I wish
I
Instagram and
mean, you can
Facebook would go away.
you can speak to even adults. I mean, look at how my little sister's 20 years old and she's growing up in that age where
Yeah.
everything is digital and she's on the computer. They use the computer for school. I mean, like all their stuff is online, so they have to be
Mhm.
on the computer. It's like extra screen time.
Yep.
And to me, it's just I have to have all these rules and parameters when we sit and we have dinner, no electronics at the table. And I'm starting to
Yeah.
feel like the parent,
Right,
even though it's
right.
my little sister, I am the parental figure in her life, but
Yeah.
it's just that thing where I'm like, no, disconnect. Let's have a conversation
Let's
in
have a conversation.
hashtag IRL in real life.
In real life.
Like
Yes.
let's connect. Let's see each other. Let's have this conversation. And everything that she tells me, Sarah, is so it's a little scary, with
Mm.
kids her age not really knowing how to have a conversation in person
So it is
without
a thing.
right, without
Ugh.
feeling awkward, without feeling like dead space or dead air. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes,
when
yes.
we can be in the company of other people and either have a conversation or not, but there isn't that not knowing what to do. I mean, we already not know what to do just as a society, like people, you know
Totally.
what I mean? But
Yes.
you add this element of you're seeing my life through filtered eyes now via social media. You're seeing the highlights and the filters and the
Yep.
pictures and the emojis, and I'm expressing myself via an emoji, a picture.
Yes. Yep.
It's like
Yeah.
we're going straight back to look, and the people back in the day, hieroglyphics, like that's what that was, right? So it's like modern
Totally.
modern day emoji,
Modern day
right?
hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics, yeah.
Yeah. But it is the highlight reel. And it's really sad when you see two people sitting side by side on their phones and that's how they interact.
Yeah.
And I catch myself doing that with like my sister. And sometimes when I visit and sometimes I question like, wow, what were we doing before cell phones? Like how did this happen? And like my hand goes numb. Can we talk about that? If I'm on my phone too long, I'm like, what is this doing to my body? You know? So I get dizzy. I've gotten sick. Like I've literally gotten nauseous from being on my phone too long. So it's just like, what is going on? And then
Yeah.
cancer rates. So it's
Oh
just,
yeah.
yeah,
Do
I
you
could go on and on.
do you ever do digital detox?
I have, and by accident, and then I realized how powerful it was when I lost my phone. Yeah, lost my phone, didn't have a phone for 24 hours, and it started at 11 a.m. on a Monday. So I had to wait from 11 a.m. to the next day for a new phone to be sent to me via insurance. And I didn't have it. And Rosie, I literally read a whole book that day. Like I just so happened to pack a book, lost my phone, and I read it, and it was the craziest thing of how much time I actually have when I'm not on that thing. So
I bet it was amazing.
it was amazing. So I've been trying to delete the app every night at 8 p.m. and that lasted like 3 weeks, and it was amazing. And then I got back on it, and sometimes I'm like writing back to people at 10 p.m. On Instagram. It's not
Yeah.
okay. It's not okay.
Yeah.
So it's a practice, and I've not updated my phone, but I do hear that there is a new app or whatever, like a feature that like times your
Times you, yeah.
engagement.
It times your engagement. Yeah, I have that on mine. I try to I'm really good about it though. Like I do shut it off
Are
at a certain
you?
time. Yeah, and because if not, here's the only issue. In the
Mm,
morning, once I do my practice, if I do want to do a class, which I normally do like on Yoga Glow or something, like
yeah.
I have to get on my computer, have to turn it on, and then sometimes the email comes up or the
Yeah.
text messages are connected to
Oh,
my computer. So then
uh-huh.
all of a sudden I start, or the thing happens with when I was listening to your meditation, I was like, oh, I got to write that. And then I
Right.
just kind of go off, but
Yeah.
look, it's just, we don't know what it's going to do, but I think that just like everything else, it's about really creating balance but you have the awareness about it, and I feel like, I pray for the younger generation that they will also have the balance.
Exactly.
That's all.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. So obviously I can talk to you. We've gone way past the time. I apologize.
Oh
So I'm
dear.
just
It's
going to ask
okay.
you like the two more questions and then we'll call it. But obviously we need to do this again and
Yep.
I can't wait to manifest being a guest on your podcast. Okay.
Oh, that's gonna happen.
So
Buckle up. Yes.
so
Yes. Yes.
all right. So what is the definition or what does freedom mean to you?
What does freedom mean to me? Oh my gosh. I think for me in this moment, freedom is silencing the inner critic, rewriting that broken record or the broken records. And just imagine that spaciousness that I would have if that inner critic was not a thing, and how powerful we'd be because we wouldn't be getting in our own way, and that magic wand would be out all the time manifesting everything because our thoughts are creating our reality. So yeah, that for me is freedom.
Dang. Okay, so this is a question. It's a two-part question, and I ask all of my guests that have been on the show, and it's pertaining to this particular podcast and why I created it. And so I created it because I wanted to cultivate a community for people to be able to come together and listen to great content and maybe provide some insight as to an issue that they're dealing with, or to just feel supported and to know that they're not alone and that the universe works for us and not against us, and that we are all radically loved by God, source, universe, whatever higher power of your understanding.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
the two questions for you are, number one, how do you feel radically loved? And the second is, what do you radically love?
Oh wow. Aha, that's beautiful. How do I feel radically loved? I think honestly, like the higher power, like the universe. When I tap into it, it's just so warm and loving and spacious and full of guidance just for me. And that is always a reminder that I'm radically loved. And I am able to tap into that from sitting and meditating and using my breath, just receiving breath. So yeah, that's how I'm reminded that I'm radically loved for sure. And nature, being in nature reminds me of that as well. Cause it's pure magic. And I don't get into it enough because I live in New York City. So when I travel, the first thing I do, or if I travel and I can choose where I go, it's to get into nature, because that's where I feel I see the love that created nature and the universe, and then I connect to that, and it's brilliant. And I have a really special bond with chipmunks, so that's a whole nother story. Anyway,
next podcast.
Yes, exactly. And then say that again. How do
what do you radically love?
Oh, I love this journey. I love this journey of life. It's hard, it's painful, it's beautiful, it's abundant. And I don't give up. And so life reminds me not to give up. And when I say yes to life, life says yes to me, like I mentioned before. And I do radically love life. And I think it's radical because life is hard and full of suffering, and to still love it and to trust it in this society, what's happening now, it's, I think that's pretty radical. So I say yes to life, and life says yes to me. And that's amazing and radical and full of love.
Sara, you are the best. I am so excited and so grateful that you have chosen to come onto this podcast and to be a part of our loving community. We love you and we thank you for all of the incredible content that you've created. It's provided so much value for so many people.
Wow.
And you've really created an open space for people of all sizes and all colors to come together and practice something so beautiful and so incredibly just unifying. And I'm just so excited to have had you on. So for those of the people that are listening, where can they reach you? Number one.
Wow.
And number two, if there's any special announcements you'd like to announce, now's the time.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm still marinating in your beautiful words. Thank you so much. I need to actually write down some things too. Thank you just from this. It's been profound. So you can find me, Sara Clark Yoga, no H on Sarah, no E on Clark. I'm sure you're going to write this down anyway, but Sara Clark Yoga. And there's going to be really beautiful 2019 offerings. I'm in the conversation right now with 1440 Multi-University. I'm going to be teaching there for the July 4th weekend. I'll be down in the Southeast at the Art of Living Institute, I believe in July. And I'll also be at Kripalu, where I'm staff teaching my annual retreat with a beautiful, beautiful soul. Her name is Jess Fry. We co-teach this one every year. And that happens June 26th to the 28th. And there's going to be more offerings, so definitely keep in touch.
Great. And is there anything that you'd like to give for our listeners?
I feel like you're like nudging me right now if you're sitting next to me.
Just saying. Is there anything at all that you want to offer?
Anything else?
Anything else?
Yes, of course there is. Of course. So I would love to gift your students, your listeners, your podcast followers 30 days free on Yoga Glow. So all they have to do is log on to Yoga Glow and type in 30 days with Sara. 30 days with Sara, and you can practice with me and all the other teachers for 30 days and hopefully even more. Yay.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's such a generous gift. Everybody listening. So for if you're on your device, if you go to the show notes or hit the info button, all of the links, including Sara's website and where you can learn more about her and where you can go to get your free Yoga Glow subscription. Everything will be on the show notes, so you can just click the show notes and all the links will be there for you. And don't forget to share this episode with your community, your friends, or somebody who you think would really gain a lot of value from listening to this conversation with this epic human being.
Right back at you. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I am so excited to continue to do this. Please share this with your friends. Email us, message us on Instagram at Rosie Acosta or on Twitter at Rosie Acosta. Subscribe on iTunes, write a review. We love doing this, so please help us continue to keep this podcast going. Thanks for listening. Is there something missing in your life? Is there something that you want to do in the world to create an impact but feel that it's overwhelming? So many of us walk through life feeling unsatisfied, overwhelmed, tired, and desperate for a deeper connection, but don't quite know how to achieve the things that we want in life. Join us this spring at the Dunsky Castle in Scotland for 7 days of yoga, meditation, and yoga nidra, all focusing on finding your life's purpose. During our time together, we will learn how and when to take action, how to lead from our heart and not our head, how to break up with our inner critic for good, and dive deep into learning about desire and discipline and how this creates a purposeful life. For more information, go to radicallyloved.com, or you can message us at info@radicallyloved.com, subject Scotland. We'll see you soon.